Hey, Dirty Rock Houndry here. One of the questions that I got asked quite frequently when I got back from my first trip to the Garnet mine last year was, how do you clean these things? One of the things that I found extremely useful when I first started trying to get the muscovite off of the garnets was looking up the hardness of the different material on the Mohs scale. The mica, depending on whether you're going perpendicular or parallel to the mica, is anywhere from 2.5 to 4 on the Mohs hardness scale. The garnet itself is anywhere between 6.5 and 7.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. Using material like brass or mild steel is very effective. The Mohs hardness is somewhere around a 6 for those materials. That can vary depending on whether it's hardened or the quality of the steel or brass being used. So I found that I was able to use some brass and some steel abrasives to help me get the muscovite off quite clearly. So my two go-tos here were using my Dremel, putting a little brass bit on the end, and then for hogging off more material quicker, using my good old duct tape handled angle grinder. So the first thing I tried in cleaning these garnets was dumping a whole bunch of them into my lower tone rock tumbler. Fantastic, highly recommend these. This one here I got about 30 years ago used, and it is still tumbling. So they're fantastic devices, well built, highly recommend them. But for cleaning the garnets, not so much. Some of you may have some better ideas, and I'd love to hear them, but for me it didn't turn out well, and I'll show you in just a second why tumbling was not the best approach for me. So here's an example of a piece that's gone through the tumbler, and you can see it's cleaned up quite nicely, but it is fairly round in shape. It hasn't taken off all of the muscovite. You can see there's a little piece there on the end still, but that's what it looked like when it came out of the tumbler. So here's a piece that's I cleaned up in a different method, and you can see the edges are much more crisp and clean in this one. This one is much more like a Dungeons and Dragons dice than the other one that's a lot more rounded. So that's one of the reasons why I so far don't recommend using the tumbler method. So the first part of this cleaning process is quite simple. Get yourself a nice bucket with nice warm soapy water and put your garnet chunks in there. All the mica, you can see some of it just starting to pick off right now. All the mica gets a little bit softer, and the mud of course comes off, and it makes it much easier to clean if you give it at least a 2-3 hour soak. These have been in here I'd say a good hour so far, and they're already getting nice and loose. Once they're in here for another hour or so, I'll start to show you some of the methods that I tried last time to get that off and expose the garnets underneath. All right, so it's been about 2 hours, and I pulled a few of the rocks out of the water a few minutes ago and let them dry off in the sun. And I'm just going to show you a few of them before I've really had to do much more than just with my hands in the water, kind of scoot off some of the muscovite that was around them. They're coming out pretty awesome already before I do any real work to them. So let me show you a couple of my favorites so far that are out of the water bucket. All right, so these are the 5 that I've pulled out here, and they've come out pretty clean. There was not a lot of heavy muscovite on these. Let me start with this one. This one has got to be my favorite so far. So this baby, will back up a little bit so you can see the size of this piece. This one is about the size of my palm, and it's just solid garnet everywhere you look. This side, we'll zoom in a little bit. This side here has a fair bit of muscovite that I'll have to use some techniques to remove some of that to expose the garnet. It didn't wash off very easily, but it is still fairly flaky. You can see just from touching it the pieces that are coming off of it. I'm really anxious to see what that's going to look like with a little bit of work. This is just another solid piece of garnet. Nice big chunk. Doesn't need a lot of work. It looks like there's a fair bit of iron on this. I've never tried iron out on garnet, and I might give that a shot on that to see what that does to the outside, and I'll give you an update on that one. I'm curious to see what that'll look like. And then my favorite one that's come out so far is this one. I just love this. I'm going to leave this one in the matrix, and it is just filled with fingertip sized garnets all over the place, and it's a beautiful little specimen. For more delicate pieces, I started using some of the dental tools. You can buy those online for next to nothing, and one advantage is the ones that you buy online for next to nothing. These are very cheap Chinese steel, and they will not damage the garnet in any way. I am not sure what the moss hardness of this stuff is, but it is way less than 6. Rubbing on the muscovite, which has a moss hardness of 2.5 to 4.5, wears these things away like nothing. So you know you're not going to damage the garnets using these tools. So I'm definitely not going to spend too long showing you this method. As I said, it's quite long and tedious, but it is very effective. So you just get right into the muscovite, just like that dentist is getting in your teeth. But instead of plaque, we're getting rid of all this muscovite in here. And you can see already how much has come off with just some picking here with these dental picks. And when you get a set of these dental picks online, one of the bonuses is they come with a lot of different types of shapes. These ones are really worn, so you can't see super well what they are, but you can get in there. This is more of a flat head on this one. You can get right under the mica and flake off big chunks of that mica from the garnets as you go through here. So you can remove a lot of material when it's nice and soft after a good bath, but it is quite tedious and takes quite a while. This piece here, because the garnets are very big, this one I will definitely be finishing up with both the angle grinder and the Dremel. So I mentioned one of my favorite methods of getting rid of the matrix surrounding these garnets is using my good old trusty angle grinder here. I'm just going to demonstrate just really quickly how much material this can remove. I've got a really gigantic egg right here, and you can see that the garnet is living right in here, massive. So what I'm going to attempt to do in just a few seconds here is to try to expose the garnet up in the top. So if you give me a minute, I'll get set up here, and I'll show you how quickly this stuff can be taken off with the grinder. So this is that nice egg-shaped one. I've had it on the grinder for probably about 4 minutes, and you can see the large garnet that's been exposed. So it doesn't take too long with a grinder to get rid of a bunch of material, and you're left with a nice sized garnet there. For those of you who haven't used this material before, this is what I was talking about with the iron out. So just follow the directions on there to get yourself a mixture, and a lot of people will use that for cleaning up their stones. So I've got some garnets in there right now. I'm just going to stir in that powder a little bit more, and I'll let you know how that turns out with the garnets. It's been about 3 hours, so let's have a look and see what that iron out has done to the garnets. All right, so this is my first little test one that I put in here. And I don't know if you can get that in there, but that looks pretty good. I wish I'd done a before one with this little one so you could see it. But that bigger one, let's have a look at this one. I don't know how toxic this stuff is to your hands, but I know it stings if you have a cut, so I always give it a rinse before I put it on. All right, so this is that one earlier that I said had some rust on it, and I would give it a try and see how it turned out, and it did a great job. It's taken a ton of that rust off there. I think now that a lot of this rust's off, I'm going to spend some more time and clean that one up even more, because it's turned into quite a pretty piece now. So I've cleaned off as much as I can off of this large garnet here with the angle grinder and the larger wheel. There's still a little bit of muscovite in some of the cracks of the stone. So I'm going to switch up gears a little bit, pull out the Dremel with a small wire brush on that, and see if I can't get into those grooves and remove the final bits from there. Amazon's a great choice for these little brush wheels. You can get a box of, I think there's 120 in this one for 25 bucks. Can't go wrong with that. The steel is maybe not the best, but for working with this, it's perfect. You're not going to damage the garnets by using these. All right, so let's give this a try with this nice big garnet piece and try to see if we can get in those cracks a little bit and get some of that material out of there. All right, I won't do too much more because obviously that sound is pretty annoying on the video. I don't know if you can see in here, but it took out a lot of that material in here. That whole section there was cleaned out. There's still some more up in here I'll have to get out. It does take a while to get the material out with the Dremel. Not as quick as the angle grinder for sure. I'm not sure if there's better methods and better tools for this, but this is what I have kicking around, and I'm not looking to spend a whole ton of money right now for just cleaning up this set of garnets. Right, so the last stage, once everything is finally cleaned up, is to put a little bit of polish on there. Now, I don't have any professional polishing tools, and when I tried to look online, there really wasn't much information on how to polish raw garnets that I could find. So what I decided, I'd just go back to the Dremel again, a little felt tip on it, and a little bit of polishing compound, and see what that would do to it. So I'm going to start with a fairly flat edge to start with here. Looks pretty good to begin with, but let's see if we can get a nice polish on that. So we'll start by getting a little bit of the polishing compound on the tip. Nice little green color now. And let's get a little more speed going here. All right, so that's all of, I don't know, 20 seconds. And I can already see an amazing difference in that edge. This is what that edge looked like before. And now, as we get some of that compound off, you can really see some of that light refracting, I believe is the right term, off of some of the crystals on the inside of that. Thank you for joining me as I attempted to clean up some of these garnets and show you some of the techniques that I tried. One of the big bonuses or surprises for me this time was the use of the iron out. Iron out really took out a lot of that rusty material from garnets. This is one of them that I really spent no time at all cleaning because of the amount of rust that was exposed on that garnet. And after coming out of the bath, I spent a little time today and hogged off some more material. And although it's not a beautiful specimen and it's fairly low grade, it's still a pretty cool piece, and I think most people would be pretty happy finding a garnet that size. Quick review: the angle grinder was what I used to hog off most of the material. The little Dremel tool is what I used to get into the cracks. For some of the delicate pieces, the dental tools were a great help. If the material is soaked properly and soft, they can hog off a fair bit of material with them, but the material does have to be soft. If you get into a spot where the mica is quite hard or packed closely together, it's definitely hard to flake out that material with just the dental picks. I've heard from other people that they have used pressure washers to clean off some of the mica off the garnets. Obviously I didn't try that, but if you have access to a good pressure washer like 3000 plus PSI, then give it a try, see if that works. I wouldn't definitely use it on one of the pieces where you have lots of small garnets and matrix that you're trying to keep, but for some of the bigger garnets that might be an effective method as well. I heard that a textile gun could be a good option at cleaning the material as well. Many people use it to clean off their calcite specimens and things like that from all the clay and stuff that they live in. It may be an option. Some of them are fairly high powered, so if you have one, you might give that a try if you're cleaning garnets. Thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to sharing some of my future adventures with you.